Hi there, welcome to Colors. I'm Erica. On today's video, we're going to be doing the second in our Faerie Merry video series. I am doing 4 holiday themed fairies throughout the month of December. And I also have a hashtag over on Instagram that you can follow and join. I would love to see your pages. So our next page is going to be in Whimsy Girls Christmas by Hannah Lynn. And I decided on this gorgeous page. I haven't done enough pages in this book, and it's just so cute. So I really liked this one, and it's perfect for the color palette, the color inspiration that I put together for myself today. And I'll show you this real quick. So here are what we're looking at. So lots of pinks and turquoises and just really soft, fun colors. So that is my game plan. That's what I'm going to try to recreate-ish. So I've decided the background here is going to be pink. We're going to do another kind of different medium that I don't use very often. I'm going to use some distress ink to do the background. And I am going to tape this off. So I'm going to go off screen, tape this off, and when we come back, we will play with some inks. I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, so I have this nice page all taped up. I have it taped to my desk too, so that it doesn't move because I tend to make messes, and this is just easier. It's just easier. So I have a couple of pinks in here that I'm going to play with. I have this Spun Sugar. I have the Kitsch Flamingo. The Festive Raspberry is a little dark, but I might end up using some of it. But definitely the Worn Lipstick too. So we're going to try these and see how we do. I'm going to start with the lightest color and see what that looks like. And I have these brushes that I get from Amazon. I got a set of them, and they're all in different colors. So then I just use for all of like my pinks, this is the brush that I use. And yeah, and that's basically how it works. So when I start a project, I'll usually try to start with the lighter color if I have multiple in the same color. And that way I can build up the color and not worry about trying to clean off my brush in between time, because then I can just put the one color on the next color. I hope that made sense. All right, so I'm going to do my best not to get on top of the character. And I have, even if I do, especially with this lightest color, I can very easily color right over that because this is such a light color. So I'm hoping you can see some of that. I have to be careful down here not to get this pink on the outside. So yeah, so I'm just going to go through and do a few different pinks, kind of pick and choose where I want to add some color, and hopefully have a nice kind of, I don't want it to be a flat color. I want it to have like different tones and stuff in it. So hopefully I can get that done with just this. All right, so I will talk to you again here in a second. I do also have these tiny little blender brushes that I can use too, so I can get some ink on those and try to get in closer to the line art so that I don't have like large white gaps. I gotta be careful about not having just like a solid circle of color. I think in my head, the wings are going to be white, so I'm trying to be really careful around the wings. I think. Okay, a little bit of that Kitsch Flamingo, and let's just go ahead and use the Worn Lipstick because I think that's going to be better than trying to use the Festive Berries. Okay, so next I'm going to use some of these stamps that I have, these snowflake stamps. I think a couple of them look really kind of Nordic themed, and it kind of goes with the design on the mug. So I think I'm going to go with this one, and that it's just a stain stamp. It's not going to look like that in the end. This one, and I'm trying to decide. I think that one. I'm not going to do a ton of these. I just want to do a few. Where did that go? I literally just set it down, didn't I? Oh my goodness. Hold on. Okay, so I went back and I watched the video and I saw what happened to it, but now I really can't find it. Like, it's completely disappeared. Oh, it's like those, have you seen those videos where it's like trying to do something with ADHD and then like somebody is making coffee and they set out their mug and they turn to get something else, and when they come back the mug is gone? That's what I feel like every time I try to craft anything. Oh my gosh, sorry, that was really funny. Okay, so we're going to try to stamp some snowflakes. So I have this little stamp for this one. I feel like, no, it's just not big enough. I have that one for that one. And then I got this big old dude for this one. And I don't think I'll do too many of these, and they'll probably be hanging off the edge anyway. But we're going to stamp these in the, or I'm going to try with the spun sugar first and see what that does. So I'm going to get this all inked up. All right, and we're just going to take it and press. You want to make sure you get nice firm pressure across the stamp. That's going to be super, super light, but I think that'll look nice. Okay, so I'm going to go through and do a couple of these ones. Okay, so I'm just going to do 2 of the big ones. And this is supposed to be really subtle tone on tone kind of background. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so we're going to use the, yeah, let's do the Kitsch Flamingo on this mid-size one. Just kind of stamp this around and see what we think. Okay, and then we'll use the worn lipstick on this tiny one that I found. I'm gonna stamp that a couple of times on some scrap paper because it's a brand new stamp, and sometimes the distress ink kind of beads up too much. Okay, that's a little darker than I want it, but we'll do a couple of those so that it doesn't look weird. And then I'll come back in with lighter, a lighter color. So we'll go back. I think I'm just going to go back to the spun sugar because I really like the way that looked. And we'll just kind of stamp a few of these kind of just around. And it gives like a super, super subtle tone on tone little just addition to the background. Let's see, let's do another one there. I'm gonna do a couple kind of hanging off the edges. Okay, so yeah, super simple, super easy. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna do, because, well, this will probably be the last thing I do. If I try to put any kind of water-based paint pen on top of this, it's just going to immediately bleed through because this is a water-based medium underneath here. So at the end, I'll probably go through and use either this bleed-proof white, or I'll just put some stickles on the snowflakes. But one of those two things will happen at the end of my coloring so that I can have the white of the snowflakes on there. I also think I might have some like puffy paint that might be really kind of fun to do, but I don't know if that's water-based. That might be water-based. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But there is the background so far. So let's take this tape off. I just have long pieces of tape just kind of stuck around my crafting space now. But you can reuse these, so I don't want to not reuse it. Okay, so I think that looks cute. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's something missing, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because there's not a border around that yet. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll look great by the time we're done, right? I always second guess myself until we're done. Okay, so I'm going to put these guys away and I will be right back with you. Okay, so next up, we're going to do some skin on her. We're going to have some hair. Got to get all that stuff done. I'm going to grab my backer page. And yeah, I'm going to grab some alcohol markers because that always makes my pages go faster, and it's much easier on my hands when I go to come back and color things. And then I'll be using some Arteza pencils on top of that. So I am going to grab those and I'll be right back with you. Okay, got all my markers pulled. My messy swatch sheet. Helps remember what the markers actually look like. And I've just got an assortment of pinks and an assortment of like turquoise colors and then a light green as well. And I'm just going to kind of go through, get out of my way. Just going to go through and get that colored in with my markers really quickly, and then we will start on some pencil work. So I'll talk to you again here in a second. Okay, so here is the marker work. I apologize for being off screen a little bit, finishing up the bottom of this cup. It's just, I just repeated the same colors kind of throughout the whole thing. Just a few select colors, and now I'm going to grab some colored pencils and I will do a little bit of coloring with you with my pencils next. Okay, so I'm going to start with the skin like I always do. I have a couple of browns here. So we're using Arteza Expert Color Pencils today. This is a very old set. They are well loved, well used. You can see all of the, everything's rubbing off because I've used them so much. But I've got brown ochre and sienna brown. So we're going to see how I do with this. So I'm going to just do a little bit of shading here and fingers crossed that it works out pretty well. I haven't used Arteza for skin in a long time, so I'm hoping that it works. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through and do the shading on her skin real quick. I'm gonna speed that up so you guys can see, and I will talk to you again here in a second. Okay, so I'm going to kind of show you a little bit about how I do the Hannah Lynn noses. Let's see if I can zoom you in a little bit more even, so you can really see what I'm doing. Hopefully that's not too shaky for you guys. So I typically use this little line that she's drawn in as a nose as my starting point, and that's like the base of the nose. So then I do a small little curved line here. And then I'll do, I need to sharpen this even more. Arteses might not be the best for this, but we're going to use what we've got. And then I use another, I do another little curved line from one side and the other, and I try to make them as close to even as I can. So there's that, okay? So you've got this little shape in the center here, and then you've got the little half circles on either side. And then from there, I will start around the eyebrow, like close to the eyebrow, and just kind of very lightly sketch my nose shape in. And I usually do a curved line. I don't do a straight line. Because your nose kind of is wider up here and then thin here, and then it widens out again. So that is why I do that typically. So then that's the kind of the basis of how I do it, and then I'll start shading from there. So then I shade towards the eye this way, and then I come along the side of the nose and then into the cheek here a little bit. I do the same thing going the other way. And yes, it's going to look a little wonky when you first do it. But you got to trust the process. This is one that kind of takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of layering. So now I'm going to switch to my lighter color and blend that color out even more. And I'm going to start kind of blending across the bridge of the nose here so that I have a lighter patch here and a lighter patch here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to add in the little lip. I know that there's a name for it, but I just call it the lip dip. So like the little part that is in between your lips, your little bow thing, whatever that's called. I add that in. I don't usually go super detailed with that on the Hannah Lynn pages. I just add like a little line and then blend out from there. And then that's basically it. And then sometimes I'll come in and I'll make sure that I have a nice highlight in there. So I'm just barely lightly touching the page with this white pencil. And you can see how it already has separated the layers there. So then I come back in with my dark color again and I start adding more shading, kind of shaping the nose again. Yeah, and then I just keep working on it, switching back and forth between my pencils. I don't want to go too dark. And Arteza, you can't get too many layers in there before it starts wanting to not work for you, especially on Amazon paper. So you just kind of have to, plan out your attack ahead of time. Pencils that work really well on Amazon paper for skin tones, I found Prismas work really well. I found Polychromos works pretty well. Okay, and then I'll also at this point probably add in some cheeks. So I'm going to add in the pink that I've got pulled here. I think that this is Fruit Punch. And it's probably the pink that I'm going to be using to shade a bunch of the stuff on the page as well. So that even ties it in more. And then I'll usually bring the pink in and kind of go over the bridge of the nose too. And sometimes up in the eyes there, and then on the chin. Just kind of depends on my mood. Okay, yep, and then I'll just kind of keep going. I might bring in, let me see if I've got a good purple that would work. I have this amethyst color. That should be a nice dark, yeah, just to darken up the shadows a little bit, because you can layer that purple color with the browns and it really is a nice dark color. So if I want to darken this up even more, again, very light touch, like super, super light. Just barely touching the page. But you can see how much just that little bit kind of really defines the nose and helps, you know, with the shadows and stuff. So yeah, that's basically all I do. I'm going to take this purple and go underneath her nose too to kind of make that pop out underneath her lips. Yeah, and that's probably it. And then I'll just work on shading things out a little bit more, adding in a little bit of white. Again, just to the, I'm going to add this purple down here too, just to make sure that this is a nice dark shadow, because it would definitely be in shadow, this neck area. Yeah, and then I'll just add another little spot of white here, another little bit of a line there. I might do just a tiny bit like along her eyebrow. Maybe some along the center of her eye here. Maybe a little bit just under the lash line. Yeah, so it's not like perfect, but this is what I do. And I really I've kind of liked this Hannah Lynn face that I do. It seemed to go over well. And then I will use a colorless blender, if I can, to just smooth out anything that looks a little rough. And it typically will happen on the sides of the nose and then like in the darker shadowed areas. So we'll just kind of go through and do that real quick. And there we go. There's her cute little face. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do the Hannah Lynn eyes too. And this is not really anything big, but I like to do a little bit of a light area kind of in the center of the eyes, depending on which direction she's looking. So I start off with my light color and then I darken it more at the lash line, up at the lashes. And so it's like a dark to light from the top to the center. And then I will bring in a little bit more color because I want this just a little bit darker at the top. Okay, and then I'll use my white Prismacolor to kind of blend that around. And then something else fun that I like to do on occasion is I'll bring in some like lines, like the lines that you see in irises normally. So I just, from the center, I draw out little lines. I make them shorter in the white areas and a little bit longer in the darker areas. So there, kind of like that. Yeah. I'm hoping you can see that. I mean, it should be visible on camera, but okay. And then I'm going to use my black to, I'm going to darken that up later once I get her hair done, because I don't want the black to get sucked into the colors from the hair. So I'm going to use this Fruit Punch also on her lips. So I'm going to do a little nice light base, and then I have magenta to kind of give a little bit of shading. There we go. Super simple lip. Yeah, okay, I think her face is done. I think we're good on that one. So I'm going to go through and shade her hair, and then we'll come back and work on some of her outfit. Okay. All right, she looks really cute. I really like her. All right, I'm going to use my Posca to go through and add in all my white on her. And, oh gosh, I don't know if I was on screen for any of that. I'm sorry if I wasn't. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you out. And I'm gonna go ahead and do all of the white on her outfit. Okay, so we're done with her. We're gonna work on the mug now. So I have this nice mug of cocoa. I'm gonna start with the cinnamon stick, and I'm using cinnamon. And it's not dark enough, so I need a darker brown. We're gonna try espresso and see if that will. I think that'll work. Okay, I'm gonna use the cinnamon and the espresso also on the actual cocoa. So basically all I'm doing is anywhere where Miss Lynn has drawn in some lines, I'm gonna add a little bit of shading. And we'll blend that out a little bit with this other cinnamon color. Okay, then I'm also gonna bring my white again. So my white Prisma. And right where I think there might be some lighter areas, I'm going to add in a little bit of this white pencil. Not a ton of places, but just a couple spots. Okay, so there's our cocoa. I'm going to go ahead and darken this up all the way around the rim. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to use my really light pink to kind of reinforce the pink on the marshmallows. Okay, a little bit darker pink for some of the whipped cream that's back here. I did a little bit of blending with my alcohol markers, but I really wanted to bring it back with the pinks that I'm using. Kind of blend that out a little bit more. And then add in my white too, so that I can get a nice white in there. Okay, so I'm thinking that the little sprinkles are going to be like turquoise and ocean blue. We're going to just randomly, maybe some white ones too. So I'm not going to do all of them colored. I'll have some white ones in here and just maybe put some stickles on that. I'm just kind of switching and randomly placing color. I don't really have a plan for that. And then basically the only thing I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to shade this mousse a little bit. I'm going to use the burnt ochre. I'm going to grab my gray and add a little bit of a shadow for the mousse. So it doesn't look like he's just standing on nothing. And then I'm going to just use my pink. Maybe this darker pink would probably work better. Just to give a little bit more definition to the edges of the cup. But I'm not going to do a lot of shading on the little pieces. I'm just going to kind of let them be. I don't really think they need a ton. I think it's cute pretty much as is. And then do the same thing on the little handle here. So on the handle, I like to do the bottom of the handle. So I'm going to do this part, and then I'm going to stop about right there, and then I'm going to pick it up again over here so that I'm getting the bottom part of the handle shaded. Okay, what do we think? How is that looking? I'm going to add just a line of white with my Prismacolor to the tights. Probably going to outline more with my Posca. Probably going to outline these things. I don't know if you saw it earlier or if I kept it in. When I have really thick white lines like this, I like to use my Prismacolor first, and especially works really well on this paper. And I just go through and outline all of the black lines with my white Prismacolor, and then I'll come back in with my Posca, and it makes it so that the Posca has something to sit on instead of sinking into the paper. It just tends to work better for me. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but, or if you want to take that extra step, you don't have to at all, but I like to do it. So, all right, so I'm just going to go through and white this part out, and then we will come back and I'll talk to you again here in a second. Okay, so everything's whited out. I'm doing one little thing that looks silly, but kind of adds a nice touch. I'm taking a gray and just creating a little shadow underneath some of these sprinkles so that it looks like that's actually sitting on, specifically on the whipped cream there, but yeah, kind of like that. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of white to the mousse here. And then I'm also going to add some gray underneath the cup. So this is going to create, like, at least that the shadow of the cup kind of sitting on something. We don't know what it's sitting on, but it's not just floating in the air this way. All right, that's looking really cute. I like that a lot. Last thing is just finishing up the background and adding the sparkly bits. So for the background, I need to move all these pencils out of the way. I'm going to zoom you out a little bit so you can kind of see the whole page here. Almost the whole page. Let's try. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to, I think I'm going to sprinkle a couple of different things. I'm going to sprinkle some white paint. I'm going to sprinkle some pink, whatever this is. Maybe not the white paint. Maybe I should do the Doc Martens stuff. I think I'll do that. But it's gonna be sprinkled. And then on all of these larger dots, we'll see. Let me see. I'm gonna just do a test and see if I can get my Posca to work, or if it's gonna turn it pink. So let's let that sit for a minute, and we'll do another test where I outline it with this first, and then do, okay, so we're gonna let those sit and see what happens. I'm gonna grab my inks. Okay, well, both of them look pretty decent, so I think I'm gonna be okay without using my Doc Martens. I'm gonna use just this Apple Barrel white acrylic paint, put a little bit on my palette here. Well, that's about all I got. I'm about out of paint. Gotta go get some more. I've got that. I've got a cup of water here. And I got my fan brush. Where did I put it? Right here. Okay, so I'm just, oh, I need to cover her up. Let's do that really quick. All right, so I'm gonna cover her up and then just go to town. We're just gonna make a bunch of tiny little snowflakes everywhere. That's the best thing about using these fan brushes, is it makes the little bitty ones. So, and then it's super simple. You just tap the brush and it creates whatever you want. This is really good when you want to do stars too, like a big starry background. It does make a mess. You're going to get paint everywhere else. Just be aware of that, or at least I do, because I am a messy, messy kid. Okay, so yep, that's going to be good. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so that's mostly dry. So we got that done. I like the subtleness of that. I think that looks nice. I am going to go through and do all of these all of the snow flakes that she's drawn in. with the white and some white Posca. And that's going to take me a minute. So I'm going to go off screen to do that. But it's basically just what I did here. I'll do it again here. So I'm going to take my white Prismacolor just because I don't want that distress ink underneath to bleed through. And just add my Posca on top. So I'm going to do that for all of the big snowflakes. I'll be right back. Okay, so last thing, I went ahead and did a border around the page with some Tiara Jelly Roll pens. And then I'm also going to add in some stickles. So that's my last step here. All right, so I'm going to put stickles on the wings and then a couple places on the cup. And then we will be done with this page. So I'm just going to pat the stickles in. And then also on all these little sprinkles, we're going to have some stickles on those. I'm going to do stickles on the mousse, because why not? Use a super sparkly mousse. Okay, and then we'll also do stickles on these little diamonds across the top here. Just the tiniest bit of sparkle, like I'm just barely touching the page with it. Let's just do this strip of color here. And then the pinks on the stripes around the edges, or around the handle there. Okay. I think this is done. Let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. We'll take a look at our inspiration sheet from before. And then this is what we've created. So I think that that looks pretty good. I like her a lot. I think she's super pretty. Little time consuming with all the Posca, but other than that, I think it's super cute. So that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. I will be back next week with another magical Christmas fairy, and I'll see you then. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.